there.
Hello.
This is
Stanley
and Otito from the Grey Couch. Happy post Memorial Day. I feel like it's, the week went by so quickly. And speaking of, Memorial Day and weekends, it was Stan's birthday last weekend. I hope you caught the little snippet that we did to celebrate him, right? Where we talk about the cure for relational health, right? And since we're still on the R's, we're thinking today we'll talk about refreshing our marriages, right? Refreshing yours, refreshing mine, right? Well, it's ours now. And the concept of routines versus rituals came up. So what happened there?
So I always thought about the same thing, routines and rituals, and basically to function like a military setting type thing, you need routines. Who's doing what, when, where, things like that. But then, I came across, did some reading, and the guy kind of specialized. I said, okay, listen, a routine is something that's coordinated, repeated, whereas a ritual is something that's coordinated, repeated, but it's of significance to both parties. So it's like, okay, this guy might be onto something here, and essentially that routines keep a marriage functioning in step, but rituals keep it fresh, and what have you.
Rituals.
So
it's interesting that when you think about rituals, you always think about when you were growing up, because we're from Africa, right? So you have the traditionalists and the babalawos, the herbalists and the rituals, but no. Not those kind of rituals, right? So, that got us thinking, like, what were our own rituals, right? Because sometimes some of these things are things you even do almost like unconsciously.
A lot of times.
Right? Unconsciously. But then you think back and say, oh, okay, there's some meaning here, right? Which is that idea of building your own family customs, right? You could say that, customs. Yeah. So, okay. So, what are the types of rituals now?
Okay, so the biggest one would be communication rituals. I guess you spend majority of them there. They're family rituals, marriage rituals. One that most of the guys should like are the sexual rituals.
Okay.
Yeah, hey.
I need to know more about those ones.
Don't worry, I have a special segment for that one.
Okay.
But yeah, those are them. And then but for now, let's look at what are our own communication rituals. And do you want to tell them about the area of conflict, or should I? Or we'll both. We'll give our own different spins to it.
It took me a while to actually remember that, right? Like, okay, so what was it? It had to do with greeting.
Yes.
So for you, like, what do you think, right? As in to you, our audience, normally you're kind of, especially the women. I would say the women, right? So let me put it all on the women now. You get this idea that you're told growing up, right? Or maybe it's me. Let me speak for myself.
Please do.
Like to do here on the couch. You get this idea from reading and all that when your partner comes back, right? Which is an interesting idea, because you're thinking that it's only the man that goes out to work, or the breadwinner idea. But that's kind of the idea growing up.
Not anymore.
I know, right? That when they come back, you welcome them into a welcoming atmosphere, hugs, kisses, and is that a dream? But that's kind of the idea that you had. But then come to real life, right? For us, at least, I'm the one going out sometimes, you're the one going out sometimes, right? So this was, I think, had to do with the day when you were off and I came back. I came back in from work, right? And I think what had happened was I had called him from upstairs. Yeah, not that the house is very big, but if people are in different places, you can't find them. Called him from upstairs, and then I guess he said, oh, I'm coming, and I went to continue doing my work, right? And so I think you had come up
after a while.
Yes, after a while, a long while. Like, this was not just a 5-minute while. Talk about getting lost in whatever it is you're doing. So then he comes up and he's like, like something like, where's the food, or something like that. And I'm like, food? Like, I said, excuse me? Who's the one who has been at home all day, right? That I just came and continued my work. Bad idea. But, as sometimes an academic person, you're bringing all those, like, grades home or trying to finish one thing for the next day. So I'm thinking, oh, but I've been back, and I told you I was back, but I thought you'd come say hello to me. And he thought
To which
I was going to come down and say hello to him. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I typically say, oh,
Yeah.
I'm back from my journeyings and this is going on. So I was waiting down there for a while and she didn't come. I'm like, what if I had to come out? And she was expecting me to come up from what I was doing to come and she thought it was not a very important task. But if I remember correctly, it was something that had to do with her. But anyway, I digress.
So to bring in some sort of
Structure.
Not even structure, context, like useless context that feeds into what you're thinking about, right? Sometimes I ask myself, who sent me to go and live in a house with this many stairs? Because I grew up in a bungalow, right? I'm not used to I'm not used to stairs, and so I'm having like knee issues. So I try to do as less step climbing as I can, only going up when it's time for bed or things like that. But imagine these are my own personal thoughts. Like I wasn't going to be going up, down, and down, up. Like this was a few years ago. Now Mr. San is the one saying, I don't want to climb that many stairs again after years of running.
Up and down, yeah.
Yeah, but...
So yeah, it actually escalated into something not pleasant. You know,
yeah, we actually talked about it, like, oh, who gets to greet who and all that.
So,
and you know, who is essentially, whose duty is it to go look for the other person when you come in, and you know, taking people for granted. It's just morphed into something that was way more than it should have been. Yeah.
So that was the genesis of, I guess, our first ritual, whereby, okay, when this person comes in, come and look for the person that's at home coming in, and then you know, with that, everybody kind of knew what was going to happen, and I guess that didn't rear its head up again.
No.
So that's an idea, routine to ritual.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's on the dark side of the spectrum.
But I think it wasn't even the thing. Like, you would say to yourself, why did that particular issue come up? Because we've gone in and come out different days. I think it was the idea of the person that was at home coming up and expecting that the person who came from outside was going to now just start, you know, preparing the meal and doing everything. And so it's like, if the woman is always the one supposed to be at home and to do all these things, why will the man think otherwise? Like, so that's what we talk about. That's, you know, labor, the aspect of labor, to say a person goes out to work, comes back, and he still has to do the same. But I think it was just that friction of, how are you expecting this from a person who went out to work and came back when you are the one who's been home all day? So there were other factors, right? So it's not like we even ever had a greeting ritual, but then that then solidified things to say, hey, the person at home should at least say hello to the person who came in from outside, you know, doing the work, buying the monies.
So then there's another ritual, and this ritual was interesting because it was the kids that came up with it. So as in, when we were going out, for some reason, child one would say, have a high score, you know, and it kicked off everybody in the house when we were leaving. Just say, oh, have a high score today, have a high score today. So that if you came into a house and we're all living and you're hearing the way they're trained, have a high score, you think someone has to do an exam that day. But that's just the greeting that we have, and it took on a life of its own. So every morning, oh, have a high score, and then we come back, how was your day? You know. So
but outside of that one of the greeting, what other like rituals did we now settle to say, oh, we've had, right? So that one was something you say was conflict, then you solidified it into an understanding. But what about other ones that have helped over the years that we just do without even thinking about it? But now it's okay, now this is a ritual, so now you have to continue to do it, right? With the idea that, okay, it's significant and consequential to both parties.
So the one that comes to mind is watching TV. Some people here would rather read a book than watch TV. I'm not going to point any fingers.
More like they don't watch TV.
But I like to wind down and watch TV. So, I mean, we now use that as an opportunity to just spend time together. So not necessarily that she doesn't really like watching TV, but hey, while I'm watching TV, she'll come in and then we might talk about what's on TV, and then a lot of times just kind of catch up what's going on with the day, what happened, these are my highs, these are my lows. So that became an interesting ritual, such that we make it a point of duty to get the kids to bed on time. That way the adults can have some TV time, winding down and just talking and yeah, tend to enjoy that. That's one that I remember,
Yeah, but I mean, he's saying TV time. It's not just all
Yeah,
TV. It's just one particular type of TV, and it's humor with our boy Trevor Noah, right? So sorry if you don't like Trevor Noah. Apologies. But yeah, just like 15-20 minutes of just like having a good laugh, and that even also brings up social discussions that we kind of talk about, right? Because it's not just it's not the TV in that sense. It's the medium, right? It's not like sci-fi, watching movies and all that. But these days, going to the movie theaters in America is a safety issue these days, right? So we have to think that one over. But obviously, the pandemic and everything. The other thing too is that if I go to the movie theater, it's no longer a ritual.
It's a waste of money because some people just fall asleep. It doesn't matter what's showing. It doesn't matter who is showing. It's embarrassing actually. But hey.
Yeah, so it's like this thing is not working. Let's find something else. So that's the child one has grown a little bit. So both of them are forming their own ritual in that sense, and I'm loving it because I'm like, I've been free of this thing that remember he said significant, right? It wasn't significant to me. I was just doing it because I wanted to spend time with him, which is the more significant thing, right? In that sense. So yeah, but it wasn't working because you cannot discuss anything about the movie with me afterwards. And this has nothing to do with me. Like if any of our friends are probably listening to this, they're probably laughing like whether we go in groups, whether we go in ones, whether we go in twos, right? It's like look to the side and Otis asleep, right?
Otis is sleeping.
It's a sleep magnet for me. Yeah, but
yeah, so we'd like to hear your own rituals. In fact, when I was away, one of our friends had mentioned that what he does with his wife is that they go for walks together. And things had been a little rocky until they started going for walks, and it was just a time that we're not discovering routine, we're not discussing logistics with the kids and what's going on, just how are you doing, how's your week been, what are you going and he was saying that it really brought a spark back to
them. That's nice. And I think that's where to talk about the fact that there's no there's no dogma here, right? Because different seasons will call for different things. Remember when we used to go for walks, right? But in the last 2 years we haven't been able to do that, right? Because of just the pandemic. You can't get someone to come watch them in the house and all that. So I think the principal thing here is to notice that many of these rituals or routines, none of them involve a lot of money, right? It's more about the time and the significance of the moments for you. So what?
No, I mean, I think ground rules are interesting. So you guys know, as we know, at the time, phones was a thing. So it kind of wild for like 10-15 minutes phones. No phones during that period, and then not using it to hash out grievances. I think that's also important that way. Otherwise, I know for me, if it's going to be a hashing out grievance, I'll keep on postponing till the time comes. But if it's something like, okay, we're just going to catch up, hang out. We're not talking logistics. We're not talking kids. We're not talking money. We're not talking accounting. Just how have you been doing and what's next on the plate for those are like the ground rules that we have, and then laugh
laugh. Okay, so what are you going to tell now the people on the journey with you, right? Like, so what is something that we need to think about in terms of rituals, right?
So that don't
overthink
don't overthink it. Don't overthink it, because there's no way. You already have routines and rituals, you just probably haven't called it that, like you said customs. And I think this is like, we talk about this, the first C, communication. This can be a way where you get just 10-15 minutes to work on that communication, because unless you schedule it, plan it, it's never going to happen. We are just so busy trying to it's never going to happen.
I think I'll add a little bit of something in the pool here, right? Throw a rock in the pool to say rituals, routines speak to something consistent and ongoing, but don't forget the element of surprise, right? Like sometimes you wanna, not sometimes, you should be surprising your spouse, right? Here, there, and here, there, because that's kind of what keeps the refreshments going on, right? So surprise with something meaningful though to them. of significance and meaningful to them. So yeah, that's it
That's it for
this week.
We would like to hear what your rituals are, and share with us.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people coming on in the next few weeks. We're so excited. We can't wait to kind of share them with you and their insights. I think you're gonna love them like we do, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So
from this week on the couch, it's bye. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next week.